The Arena Cross Outlaws Series rolls into Kansas City with 6 rounds of racing left in the 2023 season. The track is fast and the riders are ready. Racing from Kansas City starts now. Hello everyone, welcome to the Hale Arena in Kansas City, Missouri for the General Tire Arena Cross Outlaw Series presented by Geico Motorcycle. It's round number 10. I'm Daniel Blair. Joining me is Justin Brayton and Kristen Beach. She'll be trackside in just a moment. And Justin, the fans are on hand. They want to see if Michael Hicks can continue to do what he does, which is get good starts, dominate races, and there's a high likelihood he gets it done again.
Yeah, Michael Hicks has been so dominant this year. He's a 3-time defending champ, going for 4. And look, he's got such a big points lead. I think for these guys coming into Kansas City, they've just got to have some little wins here and there. Faster than him in practice, beat him in a heat race, and eventually try to beat him in that main event.
Yeah, he's got a big points lead right now. It's just a few rounds left in this championship, so he's focusing on that 4th straight title. But how about the battle? Alessi and Gordon, I know that's 30 points. It seems like a lot, but things can change very fast in Arena Cross. Here's the format. We've got heat races for the 250 Pro class, for the Open Pro class, so heats and mains. Ooh, it's going to be a fun one here in Kansas City. Good track, decent traction. You said a big set of whoops, which is good. Challenge these guys better and better each week as we move along in this championship. And hey, we have a new rider debuting in Arena Cross. He's done Supercross, he's done Motocross, he's done the World Supercross. That's Henry Miller making his Arena Cross debut here in Kansas City. Here's Kristen Beat.
And Daniel, Henry told me that right now he's looking for more front-end traction. He's been playing with different tire pressure settings all day, but until he can find a package that he's comfortable with, he said he's racing timid in the corners, looking for a little more roll speed. We'll see if he can find that here in the first heat as he is adjusting to the pace of Arena Cross style racing in Kansas City, guys.
Well, Henry's got a cheat sheet to look for. He's teammates with the #1 Michael Hicks, so if he's struggling with front-end traction, hey Michael, what's your fork setting? What tire pressure are you running? He's got an easy way to get to what he wants to feel.
All the riders on the gate chasing the General Tire first turn. You want to be there, you want to be there first. Hicks, Miller, B, Smith. The revs will go up, the gate will go down. The first heat race of the night. Not a good jump by Hicks, but he's got the inside. He's aggressive, uses his elbow, and he's off to the lead.
Here he is again, Michael Hicks out front. Looks like Carter B's in second, Henry Miller in third. And if you're Henry, you've been watching Michael dominate these races week after week, round after round. And Henry's probably at home thinking, man, I think I could maybe run with him, or maybe I could come here and beat this guy. Well, now you're on track with him, and it's like, oh,
where'd he go?
Really good.
And where did he go? He's gone. And that's
yeah.
what Hicks does, right? Justin, we've seen this so many times. When he gets the whole shot and he has that clear track and no one's in front of him, he nails the Race Tech rockers, and he's gone. This happens every single week.
Yeah, just oozing with confidence. You know, we're 2 laps into this 9-lap heat race, and he's already got a big gap. And if you're Henry or Bees, you're thinking, are we battling for the lead, or are we battling for second and third because Michael Hicks is gone, as you said?
You see Bees right there with the front end wash, talking about trying to find that traction. It looks like there's spots that are pretty good traction, but looks pretty slick too.
Well, and they've just come out for this first heat race. The track crew looks like they've done a great job. They've got to put a little bit of water down. They've done a full prep. So the track's a little bit different than what they have to see in practice. It's really nothing like the main event's going to be. The track is fresh. I used to love coming out in these heat races and getting the track at its best. The lap times are optimal. But these guys are going back and forth right here, and Henry's thinking, I had him pass. Well, B says, welcome to Arena Cross. I'm going to square you up and pass you back.
When we talk about Beast right there almost lost it twice in one corner, and that's the fun part of Arena Cross. You mentioned the heat races, the track's a little slick. You want to play this cat and mouse game, but you're not hooking up anywhere either, so it makes it that much more challenging to make moves.
Yeah, and when you're going back and forth like this, you allow Michael Hicks just to do his thing out front, and he's a straightaway ahead already. And, you know, I like that aggressive move from Henry Miller. He's like, all right, I've heard about this Arena Cross thing. You guys get a little more aggressive over here. Watch this. I can get aggressive, too.
Well, with Henry Miller, too, we're talking about a guy who's been successful in the Motocross Championship. He's got a lot of top-end speed. But, Justin, as we watch Michael Hicks, this is tight. It's compact. There's not a lot of room. You got to make quick decisions, so it's all new for Miller. And for Michael Hicks, some little changes here in Kansas City as well. Here's Kristen.
In preparation for his Supercross debut at round 2 of the East Coast Supercross Series, Michael Hicks has decided to move to his Supercross suspension. It's a little stiffer, harder to ride here. It doesn't turn as well, but he did say it's going to help him prepare for Supercross when that time comes.
Yeah, I love what Michael Hicks and this Ty Luke Racing team have done. They've got together and said, you know what, we're really comfortable in arena cross with our arena cross setting, but we're going to race some supercross, so let's put this suspension on. Let's see what it turns like, what it goes through the whoops like. Let's get familiar with it in race conditions, and I love that. I think it's great, and if you look at this track here, they've got a great set of whoops. They've got a great rhythm section. They've got a pretty big finish line, so what better way to test this supercross suspension out?
Watching Smith running fourth right now, and talk about these whoops, Justin. This is maybe the biggest set we've seen this year. Challenging, you see guys jumping, hammering, but pretty big. A nice, good set. Not a big run out of the corner.
Yeah, not a big run. You see Michael coming in. He's railing all the way around the turn so he can get nice and straight coming into him. Yeah, this is really cool to see what he's doing. The suspension looks good to me, Daniel.
Yeah, the Sunoco checker flag waves. The bike looks good. The rider looks good. And that leads to a victory. Henry Miller getting second. Good start for him. Carter Bees had some mistakes. He was in the mix battling, but comes away with a third. That'll be a great gate pick for the main event in 250 Pro. But the winner, Michael Hicks, does it again, and he is with Kristen Beat.
Michael, you had told me earlier in the day you're starting to make some adjustments, getting your bike and your body ready to move towards the Supercross season, running Supercross suspension tonight. What are some of the positives and negatives of making those changes early in the Arena Cross season?
Positive out here, the rhythm and the whoops is a little bit easier because it's a little stiffer, but negative is the dirt's getting really slick and doesn't want to grip as good because it's pretty stiff. So yeah, main events will be key, and it's going to be slick. So.
Explain that a little bit, Justin. The bike is stiffer, so the traction's a little bit more difficult. Is it just there's no flex? What? Explain.
Yeah, so in Supercross, it's such a balancing act of big whoops, big rhythm section. You need stiff suspension. Well, cornering, you can take a bike off the showroom floor and just go around a corner, which is optimal because the suspension comes softer. So it's always this balancing act of trying to get the best of both worlds.
Well, look pretty good to me. The Geico Motorcycle 32nd board goes sideways. The gate drops. Carter Gordon, who has really started to come to life, gets the start, but Michael Lessie says, you know what? I want it. I'm going to take it, and it's mine now.
Yeah, Michael Lessie doing really good here. He's obviously a great starter, arguably one of the best starters ever in this sport of Supercross, motocross, arena cross. I don't care wherever you line him up.
Or which bike.
Or which bike. It's right. It doesn't matter. But if you're Carter Gordon, you want to latch on right here. See what Mike's doing. Mike's a veteran of the sport. And, yeah, I think you just latch on here, learn from him. And also, Daniel, this is your battle for second and third in the championship. Right. So you kind of want to send a message as well. Say, hey, I'm coming for you for this second place finish.
Now, if we're talking about small wins and small battles, Alessi was faster than Gordon in qualifying, not by a lot, but now he's matching his pace. How important is that for Gordon and his confidence to know, maybe you had me in qualifying, but I think I might have you here.
Well, in qualifying, such an interesting thing because it's just that one lap, right? You're only timing that one lap. You can be on the complete edge, and sometimes you cross the finish line and say, I could never replicate that lap again. So now you gotta execute 9 laps in a row, which is a lot tougher physically, mentally, all the above, Daniel.
So Greenlee now runs third for making the pass on Crutcher. We're going to get to him in just a second, but first, let's go to Kristen Beat with more.
Guys, right after that first heat, riders were saying because they overwatered, the takeoff and landing on the finish line are super slick right now.
Yeah, they're just coming out of, the track crew did a great job, but they've also, like I said earlier, they got to lay some water down to make sure these tracks last the whole night. There's a lot of motorcycles on there, a lot of racing left to do before the main events, and they would like the track to be optimal for racing in those main events.
That's typical, right? Work your way through qualifying in the heats. We want the track at its very best in the main events. Those are the races where the points are, where the money's at. The fans want a good show in the main event. We got to get there. The track crew does a fantastic job, but sometimes that means you got to make it a little slick in the heat. Now, this is an interesting story. Justin, we don't see this often, maybe ever, but Crutcher on the CycleZone KTM is not your typical racer.
I love this story, Daniel. I think it's so cool. So Jeff Crutcher comes in for the CycleZone KTM team as a team principal. He's the boss. He hires, he fires, he lets the guys know where to be, when to be, all the above. Well, Cheyenne Harmon goes out with an injury, unfortunately. Cheyenne was riding great. Shout out to him. Hopefully he's on the mend and going to be back soon. But Jeff Crutcher said, you know what? Give me those boots. Give me that helmet. Give me the bike. I'm going to race. Jeff Crutcher's a veteran of arena cross, and he says, I still got it. I'm going to show you guys how to do it. So really cool story. And what I like most about it is now there's really no ego between teammates. Jeff Crutcher can come off and say to his rider, Carter Beasy, hey, what about this line? What about that line? My bike was feeling this way or it was feeling that way. Let's change this, and Carter can adapt, and maybe Jeff has a little insight for him.
Changes the whole game for that team, right? Instead of battling out with your teammate, now your teammate's your team principal. So he's out there looking out for you while he does his own job. Like, he's fourth. I would say it was a bad idea if he was running seventh right now. I'd say, hey, maybe go get a fill-in guy, but if you're going to get fourth in your heat race, I think he made the right decision. Now, speaking of right decision, Michael Lessie made some moves early. Great choices around the track, good passes, big win. Gets the heat, throws a little whip, having fun. Good one for Michael Lessie.
Yeah, Mike's riding really good. Obviously a great starter, and looks like to be a great closer tonight in Kansas City.
Michael Lessie gets the win. We'll take a look at the Geico motorcycle results. Lessie, Gordon, Greenlee, 1, 2, 3, and how about Jeff Crutcher getting the fourth? That is awesome to see. Let's go down to Kristen. She is with Michael Lessie.
Mike, in turn 1 off the finish line, you cut the inside on the last lap pretty sharp. Was that intentional?
I don't know if it's intentional or not, but just riding hard. My bike's working great. Hoosier Tires, Red Line guys are doing great. Get stuff done, coffee, supporting me. Looking forward to the main events.
We'll see you there.
If he rides like that, he'll have a shot at it. Coming up next, Open Pro Heat Racing. The Arena Cross Outlaw Series is brought to you by General Tire and by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you up to 15% on your motorcycle insurance. Back in Kansas City, Missouri for the General Tire Arena Cross Outlaws Championship. We're going to go down to Kristen Beat for a Geico Motorcycle pre-race report on Cheyenne Harmon and the rider who took the spot.
CycleZone KTM's Cheyenne Harmon sustained a fractured left tibia, a displaced kneecap, and a concussion at round 8. He'll be sidelined for the rest of the season, but filling in for him tonight, CycleZone KTM's Jeff Crutcher, their team principal. When I spoke with Jeff, I asked him, when is the last time you trained at a pro pace? He laughed and he said it's been a while, but guys, tonight he's wearing 2 hats, team principal and competitor.
Yeah, Justin, you love that story, right? But as she said, race pace is different than ride pace. Hey, maybe he gets on the bike and rides, but he's racing in arena cross. It's so intense, and that's a challenge.
It is a challenge, but you got to rely on muscle memory. He's done it for a long, long time. And I'm telling you, once you put that helmet on, there's something about it. Some good memories come back, and muscle memory takes over.
Instincts kick in, the revs up, the gate will drop. Can Michael Lessie get it done again? Now, he didn't have the inside. Carter Bees did, but now does Gordon. Well, he was aggressive enough to get to second, probably too far back to be aggressive on Bees, but he'll take it. Bees, Gordon, Alessi, 1, 2, 3.
Well, I'm noticing something about the start. That inside very first gate, it's going to be the dominant gate of the night, in my opinion. There's been 3 heat races so far with 3 hole shots from that gate.
And if you're in gate 2, your hope is to try to pull off some magic and do something, but if the guy out front's got good racecraft and good vision with eyes behind it, what do they say, eyes in the back of your head. If you have that, like he did right there, you can play the game, but Gordon's got a little more speed up the inside.
Well, that was a great move by Bees to brake check him a little bit, but then a better move by Gordon to square him up. We got a little cat and mouse going on here, and Gordon looks good to me. He looks like he's charging to the front. Bees with a good pass here, but then Alessi squares up Gordon. What a battle here in
this
heat number 1.
Awesome. Now we see the guys in qualifying, you see the speed, the obstacles. You don't really know how it's going to race until they race. I like this track. There's some opportunities here.
Well, there's a lot of 180-degree turns, so you can square people up, you can cut down, you can go rail all the way around the turn, get more speed for the whoops. This is some good racing, and it looks to me like Alessi's going to the front pretty quick here.
I like that Bees has been pushed around a little bit, but has recovered and got him back, and he's back out front again. I mean, you know how hard it is, Justin. You get past, and you don't know how you're going to emotionally take that, but if you can respond quick like he has, that's good racecraft.
Yeah, and his line selection's really good at the moment. He's blocking, but also taking the fast line around the track. What I mean by that is sometimes when you block like that, that's not the fast line. Michael Alessi's able to take the fast line, square him up. And right here, Bees, you got to latch on. Mike's obviously a really good rider, and if you watch the 250 Pro heat race, he was out front early and was doing some great things on the motorcycle. So Bees has got to latch onto him.
But now he has
here
to
comes Gordon.
Yeah, here comes Gordon. So the game has changed. And you always talk about once you get past somebody, you got to check out as quick as possible. Alessi did that, and now he seems to be in the safe zone.
But if you're Bees, you can't get frustrated here. Like you said, he's done some great things. And sometimes you say, look, it's not realistic for me to get up there and beat Michael Alessi, but I'm going to try to lead him for a lap. There's some big mistake in the whoops. I'm going to lead him for a lap, lead him for 2, lead him for 3. And then Gordon gets by. And there's some little wins here in this heat race down to Kristen.
Despite finishing well, Carter Gordon said he's been off the pace. He's trying to just relax, and when he loosens up, he finds his speed. When he rides tight or anxious, that's when he struggles. So keeping himself in a good mindset is his objective here.
How do you do that, Justin, when you're not riding well and you're aware of it and you're a little funk? How do you get it back?
Well, you just break it down. You break each segment of the track into little wins, little victories. You say this right-hand turn that Mike's in right here, I'm going to really focus on that and hit that good. Then I'm going to stay a little bit lower off this triple-double. Then I'm going to execute this turn. So, like right there, he messed it up, so now the whoops aren't good. So one thing leads to another, and if you create all these little things, if you do all these little things well, it starts to be a big thing, which is a lap. Now you've done that lap good. Now you can go into lap 2 good. So I like what he's thinking. Good attitude, stay positive, stay optimistic that things are going to turn around and be better for you.
Got a half a lap left for Mike Alessi. Great battle early on in this heat race. He executed the battle perfectly, makes his way to the lead. Saw a little mistake here and there, but not enough to shake him. This is going to be back-to-back heat race wins for Mike Alessi. He is feeling it tonight. Carter Gordon, we said, third in the points. He's not that far out of it. Mike Alessi's got to keep that guy behind him, and he does it right there. Good ride by Mike Alessi. Executing his starts, fast laps. Question is, can he beat Michael Hicks? That's a different challenge. He'll see him in those main events for the 250 Pro Class and the Open Pro Class. But he's handling his business in these heat races. Good ride by Gordon Bees, put on a show for us. But they chased Mike Alessi around in that one, and they'll have to be a little bit better in the main event if they want to beat the 800. Open Pro heat race number 2. There's Miller on the 66 next to his teammate Hicks. He talked about that inside gate. If you're Miller here, do you pop out and just try to shut him down? Do you cut under? I mean, what's your game plan when you know the champ's to your right and he's in the gate preferred?
I think you have 2 different plans. If you get out front, if you get the jump on him, cut over. If you don't get the jump on him, let him go a little bit, duck underneath for the second right-hand turn, and that's where you get him back. So here, duck underneath, come up the inside. I didn't execute it too much. And Henry's in a little bit of a tough spot. He comes in as a teammate of Michael Hicks, who's been dominating and winning the championship. Does he really want to get up there and fight with him? Looks like Hicks' shot device was stuck down there for half a lap.
Well, he didn't have to do anything physical, but at the same time, you're not going to pass the guy, or you're not going to not pass the guy if it's there. So for Henry Miller, he's got a little gift, but hey, lead some laps and see what you can do with your teammate.
Look how fast Hicks comes back. He just said, you know what? I don't even want you to lead a lap. You've come in here. We're teammates. I know. We're buddies. I'm going to score you up here and go down the left side in the whoops. It looks like yellow flag out. Somebody's down, so he couldn't really execute it. But, yeah, for Henry, not sure what he's looking back at there.
You know who it is.
Yeah.
It's Hicks. Out to in. You got to imagine these guys just watched that last race, too, taking notes. Like, oh, you can pass there. Oh, you can pass there. Or I can pass you right here. Good move by Michael Hicks.
Yeah, Hicks, so good at this. And you know, once again, we talked about Supercross, his suspension being a little bit stiffer. That was a perfect test to say, you know what, Henry, I'm going to duck underneath you. I'm going to square you off. Okay, these forks are a little bit stiff, but they're manageable because how much better they are in the rhythms and in the whoops.
I think Miller looks good, though. I mean, making his Arena Cross debut, looks comfortable, looks racy, not afraid to get in there. It's a strong showing to kick things off.
It really is. You look at his whoop speed right there, you know, really, really fast entry speed. And, you know, he just needs to latch on here to Hicks and say, you know what, I can do Arena Cross. I've done Pro Motocross. I've done World Supercross. I've done AMA Supercross. I've done it all. Now, you know what, Michael, I can come here and run your speed here in Arena Cross.
And how does he feel right now knowing that Hicks, 3-time champ, 3 straight championships, is sitting right in front of him, not getting away that far? That's got to be a confidence booster as well.
It does, yeah, especially going into these main events, right? And you would think Henry Miller's fitness is at a really high level, on par with Michael Hicks. So if you go into these longer main events coming up, you say, you know what, let's at least take it down to the last 5 laps. I want to be with them to have a chance at the win in the last 5.
Here's the 76 of Smith, running third comfortably. You see the piping silencer. Hear that thing? Ah, love it. 2-stroke sound ripping through the whoops, nothing better.
There's nothing better than that 2-stroke sound through the whoops. And if you watch the 76, watch his suspension compared to Michael Hicks. It's moving a lot more. It's a little bit softer, which could have been what Michael's suspension looked like his Arena Cross setup. Well, now we talked about the Supercross setting, you know, especially here through the whoops. Watch Smith's suspension. It just moves a little bit more. It's not that it's worse or better or anything. It's just how he likes it set up for this track.
Looked pretty good, too. Good run, had good entry speed, powered through, good body position. Speaking of good body positioning and good throttle control and entry speed, Michael Hicks has it going on, man. It's just, is there anything missing with him? I mean, he just seems to have the whole thing buttoned up.
And there's nothing missing with the whole Ty Loop Honda team. They're backed by Storm Lake Honda, which is cool to see Storm Lake Honda back in the mix of Arena Cross. They were a supporter of mine 20 years ago, Daniel, so cool to see them supporting Michael. And Michael's giving them a great return, right? Number 1 on the motorcycle, winning up, looks like Lapper there going down. But, I mean, everything from his body position on the bike to the way it looks, the way everything. He's got it going on there. He takes the checkered flag in this heat race.
Yeah, it's clicking. Michael Hicks looks so good. Good ride by Henry Miller, too. Establishing yourself in this series as the guy who can battle for podiums. We'll see that once we get to those main events. But this guy is on fire. Even makes a mistake, has to make his way back into the lead. We don't see that often. Usually he gets out front and he's gone, so it's good to see a recovery after a mistake. This guy, wow. Michael Hicks, Henry Miller, Grayson Smith, 1, 2, 3 in the Open Pro Heat Race number 2. We're going main event racing next. It's going to be a battle. Before we do, let's race some amateurs. Welcome back to Kansas City, Missouri. It's the General Tire Arena Cross Outlaws Championship. We've seen 250 heat races, we've seen Open Pro heat races, and one of the riders chasing a podium tonight is Carter Beese, and he's with Kristen Beat.
Carter Beese was in position to earn a win in the Open Pro class. What are your takeaways from that exchange with Michael Lessie?
Honestly, I just needed to be, I was too defensive. Just let Mike get back on me. I was protecting the inside a little bit too much, and just got to clean it up for the race, for the main event, and ride my own race and just let it happen.
How beneficial is it to have Jeff Crutcher, your team principal, also on track with you tonight?
We've been bouncing ideas off each other all night, like line choice and stuff like that. It really helps him being out there too. I got the experience of him and myself and being able to kind of experiment all night long.
Live and learn, always learning, adapting throughout the night. JB, now we are going to talk about the Cometic Gasket Junior Moto Challenge, but here's the big thing. 252 strokes, we've talked about a lot this season, difficult to ride. Good to ride in ways too. These are 125s. Take me through the power differential and how things work on a 125 in Arena Cross.
Yeah, half the power of a 250, and typically this is your entry level into the big bike. So you're coming off an 80 or a Super Mini, and you're on a 125. I love this bike. It's one of my favorite bikes still to this day to ride. You know, enough power to get you over the big stuff, but not enough power to really get you in a lot of trouble. So I love this 125 bike.
For Chima and Beer Bomb, Morrow, they were battling it out. And again, learning Arena Cross, these guys hope to be in those main events someday, winning and chasing down championships, but you gain the experience here, and one of the ways to do it is to go out and grab the victory. So for Chase Chima, it was awesome to get up front early. You saw him, he wasn't challenged too much in the beginning of the race, had the open track like Michael Hicks does a lot, and he goes on to win the Cometic Gasket Junior Moto Challenge. It's Chima, Beer Bomb, Morrow rounding out the top 3. It's awesome to get up on the podium too. There's no better feeling in the world than being up there and being recognized for your results.
Yeah, so cool. Ride the same track as the pro and stand on the same podium.
Let's go down to Kristen Beach. She's going to show us these whoops up close and personal.
So guys, ideally when whoops are built, they have a really nice round top to them. However, tonight we're seeing some holes develop in the whoop section, and riders will have to be incredibly careful not to clip those because it could kick them sideways, and that is not ideal.
And Justin, coming out of that corner, the far right of the whoops where they like to take so they can carry the momentum, that's what's getting chewed up the most as we head into these one-on-ones.
Yeah, typically you want to carry as much speed as you can into the whoops. That's why that's getting chewed up. But so now you got to look for some different lines. Square down, go down the left side.
Oh, Michael Lessie, the master of the start. They caught him right there, and Carter Gordon's going to capitalize.
Yeah, this is going to be a good race here. Typically, Mike, he usually has clear track, right? One of the best starters in the world. He's got the 5 in his sights. Here he goes down the inside of the whoops. Oh, Carter kind of chops him off, but hey, that's head-to-head racing right there.
Did you see the entry speed? Unless he knew he had to go for it. So he came in hot and just got pinched off. Now we got teammate on teammate. Miller and Hicks. Miller on the inside.
And that inside's always dominant. Is he going to give him some room? Hicks is going to square off right here. And it's going to come down to the whoops. How aggressive is Henry going to be here? Is he going to rail all the way around? Is he going to take his line and square him up? No, Hicks goes up the inside and makes the pass. Looks like he's going to
He's not giving
up.
up. Oh, he held it. He held it.
Henry got him.
You know what? That was awesome. He just stayed committed. I mean,
He did.
one corner to go. What do? You just pin it, and you take down the champ. Your first time you show up, Henry Miller. Nice work. And now he faces Carter Gordon, and this is interesting. Please
They're
explain.
backwards, Daniel. They are backwards.
So what happens here? Do you go into? So I don't know about Miller's tactic here, Justin, but that's not going to work.
That's not going to work. If you let the guy go
And you don't.
and you're not going to take off, you won't win the race. So it looks like Gordon's going to win this head-to-head challenge. I wonder what the theory is there. If I don't know.
I don't know either, but here's what I do know. Carter Gordon wins the head-to-head challenge, and he does it uncontested.
Hey, I'm Jeff Crutcher. You're watching the General Tire Arena Cross Outlaws on FS1. Watch for me in the next main event.
The fans are loving the Arena Cross action in Kansas City, but it's the main events that count. They're the races that matter, and they're coming up next. But first, we go to Kristen Beat with a General Tire pre-race report on Carter Gordon.
Carter Gordon has earned 2 podiums in his last 3 starts in this 250 Pro class, but he's made some technical adjustments to earn himself that stat. He said he's been entering the whoops in a gear higher to carry his momentum, and that has dramatically improved his performance in the whoops. It's all about entry for him, and just those little adjustments having a major impact in his performance, guys.
I love what Carter's doing there. He's experimenting, and you never know unless you try it. In the higher gear, you can get it in the whoops. It's just less wheel spin, and that's what you want. Less wheel spin creates more traction, more drive forward. But here in Arena Cross, especially here in Kansas City, there's not much run-up to get that shift before these whoops. So Carter's experimenting. It seems like it's working.
The General Tire starting grid shows Michael Hicks on top and in the very inside gate. Justin, you talked about how important it is to get that gate. Does it work here? Good jump, good execution. Does he have the defense in corner 2? Yeah, he does everything right. But Carter Gordon says, you know what? I'm going to make this a little bit harder on you. I'm taking the lead early in this main event.
Yeah, and a veteran move by Michael Hicks there. He could have gave him the business there and taken the lead, but he knows it's a long race. He knows he has a little bit more speed than Carter at the moment. But you never know. Carter gets out front with some fresh track. Like maybe Michael up the inside. No, that's a good defensive move. And Carter's just got to run and hide here. He's got to really sprint. But sprinting for 14 laps it's easy to talk about. It's hard to do.
Man, Carter Gordon has really improved in the back half of this championship. Started a little off at the opening round, and he's found the comfort, he's found the confidence, and now you're playing some games with Michael Hicks. Look at Hicks is even looking around a little bit, and that's what you want to do with the champ, right? The guy that wins all the time. Make it weird for him, make it interesting, put him in a tough spot, and he's doing that right now.
Absolutely. Throw him off his rhythm, or he's squaring it up. But we talked earlier about these little wins. Carter just led him for 2 laps.
Yeah.
That's a little win. He doesn't have to win this race, and maybe that's not even what he expects. Michael expects to go out there and win the race. But if Carter can lead 2 laps, maybe next main event he leads 3 laps, and so on and so on. But now we got this battle for second in the championship. Michael Lessie coming up on Carter Gordon. They've got a race within a race here.
Yeah, you talk about the expectations. His expectations is to beat Michael Lessie in the points. You got to beat him in the main events to do that. Alessi's going to go by, but here's Gordon up the inside. How aggressive does he want to be?
Nice move,
Love
Mike,
it.
to square it off. And he had the thought that, Mike's going to try and square it off, so I'm going to brake check him a little bit, stand him up, and keep moving forward.
Justin, you can practice during the week all these different things, whoops and corners and jumps. You can't practice racecraft. Being up front in these races, back to back to back, that's where that comes into play. His racecraft is improving.
Oh, and it's funny, you hear a lot of racers talk about breathing. Well, it seems weird because when you're sitting on the couch watching at home, you breathe naturally, right? Well, when you're in this battle right here, I can guarantee you that Carter, he's holding his breath at some sort. Well, when you hold your breath, you start to tighten up, you start to hold on tighter, and that's the difference when you're practicing and racing. Mike had a good line up there up the inside of the whoops. And look, Mike looks great in the whoops. That hasn't been one of his strengths throughout his career. He's looked really good in these whoops all night.
Yeah, entry speed, I think, is a key. He's not afraid to get into him fast. Michael Hicks now out front with the clear track. He will get into lap traffic at some point. I think we're probably a couple laps away from that. So for now, it's just sprint. It's get away, get that gap on Michael Lessie so Justin he can take the lines he wants. You always talk about how important it is to take the track the way you want it. You can only do that when you're up front.
Yeah, you can, and then you can start to search. Once you get a little bit of a gap, you can start to search, which makes you even faster because you find better lines.
Henry Miller improving moto by moto. Here's more with Kristen Beat.
Guys, as we mentioned, Henry Miller is learning Arena Cross bike setup tonight. He started the day with a 14 tire pressure. He's down to 12.5 now, so making those little adjustments in between motos, hopefully finding something that he's really comfortable with.
Yeah, typically you do that on hard packed dirt. You see that soil right there is a little bit lighter. Anytime the soil is lighter like that, it's harder packed, it's more slick. So yeah, you want to adjust that tire pressure. Typically when you want more traction, you go down in tire pressure. You want that tire to move a little bit more, especially that sidewall to bite, put more grip into the dirt. And that's what Henry's doing. He's playing around with it. And you wonder if Michael Hicks has done that as well. I just think about being teammates. You wonder if Michael knew he was going to do that and didn't share that with his teammate, or if that's something that Ty Loop Honda team was talking about in between races.
On board with Carter Gordon. Great second half of this championship, winning heat races, getting on the podium, battling up front. Oops, see a rider down right there. It's really hard sometimes, too, to have that track awareness, right? Especially if you have to move lines. Look like the rider was right in the spot Gordon's been in, so great awareness on his part.
Yeah, Carter said, no problem. I'll just skim right over his bike, right? I'll just take my line and skim right over his bike. But, you know, I've seen earlier, even when Michael had a free lap through those whoops, Kristen did a great report earlier that the right side of the whoops is starting to get chucked out a little bit, starting to get some holes in it, some grooves. Well, he's going down the left side where they're probably more fresh, and also the turn is a little more fresh too. So, like we said, Michael out front starts to experiment a little, find some better lines, and drops his lap times.
Carter Beast running 5th right now. Solid top 5. You'd love to have it, but I think there's podiums in his future. He's got the potential to do that. I think he's got the speed too. Just got to tighten up a couple things, but this is the guy who I believe should be on the podium in this class.
I think so as well. Normally he gets pretty good starts. Looks like he might be struggling in the whoops a little bit, but like he mentioned earlier, he's sharing knowledge with Jeff Crutcher, his team principal, which I think is cool. Jeff's got a lot of experience in Arena Cross, and I think that's only going to help having Jeff out there, you know, experiment with bike setup and lines, like he said. So Michael Hicks right here. This is how you do it right here, Daniel. Get out front and ride your own laps. This guy's incredible at the moment.
He has made so many races this year look easy. This one was a challenge. Carter Gordon got up front, made him work for it. He had Alessi right behind him, looking around a little. So Michael Hicks was challenged in this one, but when the Sunoco checkered flag waved, he got it done because that's what he does. But I like Alessi right there, kept him honest. Miller's not that far back either. We still got the Open Pro main event to go. And Michael Hicks, as good as he's been, there's some guys in this field that are at least showing that they can contend. So it's Hicks, Alessi, and Miller. And then you have Carter Gordon. He got the Fly Racing hole shot, but went back to 4th. Still a solid ride, but we know he's chasing podiums and wins, which Michael Hicks has no problem getting. He gets another one here.
Michael, what physically did you have to do to get the turn angle on the bike in the corner entering the whoops where you made the pass on Carter Gordon? It was really impressive.
Yeah, just turned down early. Hoosier Tires hooked up great when I came down, and I'm just happy to get a win. You know, my whole team out here, me and Henry, pretty fun out here, and yeah, just got to thank my sponsors enough. Ty Loop Honda, Storm Lake Honda, Hoosier Tire, FXR 60, X-Brand Goggles, Pro Taper, Yoshimura, Factory Connection, just everybody, thank you.
Thanks to the sponsors. He does it a lot. He'll have another chance to do it in the Open Pro main. One more race in Kansas City for the General Tire Arena Cross Outlaws. It's the Open Pro main event. Before we drop the gate, we're going to Kristen with a General Tire pre-race report.
In Henry Miller's second main event start of the 2023 General Tire Arena Cross Series, Henry, in what ways are you having to adapt to this pace of racing?
It's real short, real quick, a lot of sprints. You know, I've been doing 15, 20-minute motos getting ready for Supercross here, so it's good for me. Teach me to sprint right out of the gate and get going, and it's going to be a good thing for me come Supercross. So I like it. It's cool. It's different, and I like to try to adapt to different things real quick.
Justin, how do those skills that these riders are learning in the Arena Cross Series apply when they move to Supercross?
Yeah, I love what Henry's thinking. They're always trying to improve, always trying to be better. And look, even though Supercross is a longer race, those first few laps are really, really important, maybe the most important of the entire race. So I love what Henry's thinking. Work on that intensity, work on those first 1, 2, 3 laps, get yourself in a good position for the rest of that race.
And if you can, grab the Viral Brand Goggles hole shot. He wants it, but is Michael Hicks going to give it up? He's on that very inside gate. Miller to his left, then Alessi, Gordon. This one's going to be good. Open Pro main, gate is down.
Hicks with a bad jump. Looks like Henry, is he still going to have the inside? Look, Gordon.
Man.
Gordon coming out. And remember, Gordon was the fastest rider in qualifying practice today in this class. So this could get interesting.
You talk about those little wins, leading laps, hole-shotting races, winning heats, fastest lap in qualifying. That's faster than Michael Hicks. He's starting to stack all those little wins, putting it all together for the big one. How's he going to do that when he's got the number 1 who is so strong this year? But he's got to be at the point now where that's all that's left. Got to get a main event win.
Absolutely, and you think about the trajectory and the little wins that you're talking about. Just this day in Kansas City could totally change his trajectory and his belief system and what he can actually do. He led some laps earlier in 250 Pro Main. He qualified fastest in Open Pro Main. Now he's leading laps. He's getting better starts. This confidence that I'm seeing out of number 5, Carter Gordon, is going to compound on top of each other. And look, he led 3 laps early. Looks like he's maybe going to lead 3 laps this time as well. But hey, like you talked about, Daniel, little wins throughout the day.
When I watch him ride, I've noticed an uptick in aggression too. He's attacking the landings, in between things. We didn't see that early in the year. Is that just the confidence of the results? Is it bike confidence? Because he does not look the same as he did at round 1.
Well, that's totally a belief system. When you line up and you know inside your helmet you can pull the whole shot, you can lead laps, you can skim across these Race Tech rockers really fast, your bike setup is good. It just all starts to come together, and it starts with confidence. And how you get confidence? Well, looks like Henry Miller's down. That's a bummer on that sweeper after the whoops. But yeah, Carter's just stacking. He's building right now, building this momentum, building this confidence.
He wants to win. He wants to beat Hicks. But you got to start with Alessi. Alessi got him in the last one. Very similar way too. Alessi with that great entry speed. That's the spot for Gordon. We saw him cover the left-hand side, so we know that he knows the left exists, but it seems like in the battle he protects the corner before, and then he's vulnerable in the whoops.
Yeah, and it looks like his intensity level has backed off just a little bit from when he was winning, but that comes down to just your fitness, your overall, are you holding on too tight, are you not, are you holding your breath? There's so many things. It's a totally different race from the front as it is from running 3rd or 4th. When you're in the lead, there's so many things that's going through your mind. Oh, keep the lead. Oh, don't hit this different. Don't let this guy catch you. And that's what he's got to get used to. So for him to lead these laps, to qualify fastest, it starts to build and build and build. The next thing you know, he'll find himself on the top step of the podium one day. And then it starts to, you get 2, you get 3. So I love the trajectory of Carter Gordon right now. I think he's doing all the right things.
Yeah, he looks great out there. Henry Miller is right behind him. He's actually a lap down. So if you think back to the 250 main event, Miller was able to make the move by Gordon for the podium. This is the rider who would challenge Gordon for the podium now. Miller, again, a lapper. And for Carter Bees, this is an improvement off the last race. A top 5 guy, he's stacking those fifths, but like Gordon, he wants more. Needs a better start, maybe an uptick in aggression, and you think maybe a little improvement here?
I think a little improvement in the whoops, but that pass looked better than maybe in the 250 Pro Main. That could be due to Jeff Crutcher. Maybe he said, look, the whoops are starting to get a little bit cupped out, getting some holes in them. Let's slow the rebound down. Let's speed it up. Let's stiffen up the fork. So I think that's pretty cool, the dynamic that these guys have going right now between the team principal, who's now the teammate of Carter Bees on track.
Hicks leads, Alessi second, Gordon third. That would be your podium. And for Carter Bees, you see Gordon, he's not that far ahead, but we are running out of time. And back to Michael Hicks, and let me just ask, Supercross, if he goes to Supercross, possibly on a 250, possibly on a 450, I think this guy can make a little noise.
I really do. I've followed Michael Hicks now for a few years. I'm a huge fan of his. And when you think about going from arena cross to supercross, you think about a few things. You think about what are you going to think mentally? Are you going to read the jerseys, names on the back of the jerseys, the Jet Lawrences, the McAdoos, the Austin Forkners, the list goes on and on and on in supercross. Well, you can't be intimidated by those guys. And then I think about technique. I watched Michael Hicks' technique. He's got all of it. He truly does have the full package. It's just having the belief system to go there and get it done.
Here's Greenlee running 5th, all alone, and kind of a quiet night for him. We saw some good stuff a few weeks back, but tonight it's just been kind of quiet in there, solid, stacking some points. We haven't seen him up front like we did in DuQuoin, Illinois. He was great. That's when I feel he had a breakout ride. And for Mike Alessi, Justin, he's looked great. I mean, he looks confident, aggressive. You mentioned the whoops. He's attacking, but he hasn't been able to get the starts, which is his thing. And if he gets a start, you think he can run with Hicks here?
I think he can. I really do think he can. He's got to get the whole shot. He's got to get the start ahead of Michael Hicks. And he's got to clean up a couple things. I think Hicks's line selection is a little bit better at the moment. And I just think it's a belief from Michael. He's not satisfied with anything other than winning. And I think on track that would show, where Mike's been getting seconds and thirds, so maybe he's okay with the second. I think that would come down to just your pure belief system. Michael's not going to settle for anything less than this right here.
And he does it again. He just stacks the wins. We talk confidence all the time. The guy has all of the confidence, which is why he crosses the checkered flag first so many times in a season. And if he continues on, he's going to win his 4th straight Arena Cross Championship. A lot of respect right there. Michael Alessi knows. He's been through this stuff. He knows Hicks is riding great right now. He'd love to go at him, but Michael Hicks is just a little too strong right now. Carter Gordon, solid run in 3rd. Bees does hold on for 4th. Greenlee 5th. And how about a good ride by Grayson Smith? Another quiet night, but for him, he's been right there knocking on the door of a top 5. For Michael Hicks, it just continues. It just keeps steamrolling, and he gets it done again in Kansas City. The Arena Cross Outlaw Series is brought to you by General Tire, ODI, Cometic Gasket, Hoosier Tire, and by Andretti's Karting and Games. Before we head to the podium, we see Ronald Mack. He's on a YZ65 in the pit bike class. I don't know if that's legal, but doesn't matter. Carter Gordon, 3rd on the night. He's with Kristen Beat.
Carter, your 3rd podium this season, 250, 450 combined. Being able to get out there and race with these guys is never easy, but you've been making strides and improving throughout this season. What would you attribute those improvements to?
Just the hunger to want to do better. My first main event, I thought it was going pretty good, and they blew by me pretty fast. So once I pulled that whole shot again, I just knew I couldn't let them get away with it. Got into it a little bit with Henry, but I mean, it's racing. I'm happy to be up here again, and hopefully I can do it again tomorrow.
And he should be happy. He is progressing really, really fast. Here's Mike Alessi. He was 2nd on the night.
Mike, with someone as dominant as Michael Hicks, how do you mentally keep yourself in the game, and what's motivating you at this point?
The motivation is I want to win. I want to get my Hoosier bike, my red line, all my sponsors that are helping me up on the podium. Yeah, 2nd is good. I want to win, though. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a racer, and that's what racers do, is they fight, claw, scratch, whatever it takes to get to 1st. And just another bad start, which was weird. Like, last weekend I was getting great starts. This weekend, not good starts. So got to clean those up so we can be ready for tomorrow night to try to get the W over Michael, because he's riding good.
Well, he knows what's missing. If you want to beat Michael Hicks, you better start in front of him. But Hicks, he wins again.
Michael, your 8th win in this class this season, but your first win on a 450. How would you evaluate that bike choice tonight?
Oh, I love a 450. I like a lot of power, and you don't have to take the whole turn. You can just cut down, and just the power is there. That's how I end up getting around Carter through the whoops. And yeah, just got to thank my whole team: Ty Loop Honda, Storm Lake Honda, Hoosier Tire FXR 60, X-Brand Goggles, Pro Taper, Yoshimura, Factory Connection, Moto, X-Trig, Decor. Just everybody helped me out. Thank you so much.
476 points when we look at the Redline Oil Championship point standings. That's a big lead. He's over 100. So right now he's thinking championship. Mike Alessi, talking about defending Carter Gordon and trying to hold on to 2nd. He did it on this night. He was great. But for a 22.0 out of Michael Hicks in your Sunoco Race Fuel's fastest lap, it's hard to touch that.
Yeah, especially when he's getting starts. He's the fastest rider on the track. It's hard to beat, Daniel.
The good thing is, though, is not everyone's given up. You hear in Mike Alessi's podium interview, he's not done chasing to win.
I love that. I love when Mike said that, and he's in a battle right here with Carter Gordon for 2nd in the championship. Well, if you only focus on that, maybe you end up 3rd, but with him striving to beat Michael, that only allows him to pad that points gap that he has to 3rd with Carter Gordon. So I like where Michael Alessi's head's at, still striving to win. And but Daniel, hey, it's going to be hard to do. Michael Hicks is absolutely on fire. He's been on fire all year. Every facet of his game, his starts, his whoop speed, his turn speed, his rhythm section speed. So it's going to be hard to beat.
Someone's going to try to do it at the next round of Arena Cross. We'll see you then.